eternal, yet ever new. His advent and His proximity, His mystical leelas and His songs, every mischief and miracle a message memorable. Every pain and travail a precept enacted. As the bud blossomed to reveal 1,000 petals, it can only be said that the fragrance of the first few years was unique.
You know, when Jesus first said that He was the messenger of God, people got attracted to Him. And then He said He was the Son of God. A few eyebrows were raised, but still people stayed with Him. Finally, He declared, I and my Father are one. Somebody cast a stone and hit Him. Swami also tells us the story of a Muslim boy saint who kept repeating Anal Haq, meaning I am God, I am God. The scholars of that land advised the king to chop his hands and feet and hang his body from the gateway of the kingdom. And Swami says that every drop of blood that fell from his body kept saying Anal Haq, I am God, I am God. In little Satyam's case too, that is what we are going to see when he said, I am Sai Baba, I am God. The world is not ready to receive this inconvenient truth. We saw it in our own lives. When Swami would tell us in discourses, do bhajans, we form a resolve that yes, we will do bhajan. Swami says, do seva, yes, we will do seva. But Swami says, you and I are one. What is it that makes God and the men of God to keep sticking to this inconvenient truth when the truth brings them so much physical and mental and psychological harm? We feel, Swami, you could have done all this by just saying that you're a man of God. Nobody would have criticized you only. Simply, from your childhood, the minute you said you're God, this criticism has come. What is it that gives the courage or makes these people, makes the avatar state this inconvenient truth? You are given sugar to taste. You taste sugar and you know that sugar is sweet. Somebody comes and tells you sugar is not sweet. You say, no, sugar is sweet. Then they come and tell you, here is the record of observations of the scientists who say that sugar is not sweet. You say, no, sugar is sweet. Then somebody comes and tells, if you say that sugar is sweet, I am going to break this chair. Break the chair. Sugar is sweet. If you say sugar is sweet, I am going to break those pots. Break the pots. Sugar is sweet. Pulls out a gun, puts it to your head. If you say sugar is sweet, I am going to pull the trigger. Okay, fine, sugar is not sweet. No need. Put the gun to your father's head or mother's head, your child's head. If you say sugar is sweet, I am going to pull the trigger. Fine, why? Simply, okay, sugar is not sweet. The minute attachment comes, I am not that pot, nothing happens, break the pot. I am not the chair, break the chair, nothing happens. This is me. This person is mine. The minute attachment, mine, thine comes, fear comes. But for the avatar, the body is just another pot, another pan, another chair. Break the body, I am God. Swami, we will torture you, torture the body, I am God. This kind of courage, fearlessness and adherence to what we call as the inconvenient truth comes only because of zero body attachment, complete Atma Bhimanam. And that is the message that Swami drives home through this apparently most painful part. Even in the later years, I remember Professor Anil Kumar sir saying to Swami, Swami, there must be a great pain, right? Because the hip is fractured. Swami said, oh, the pain is tremendous. Swami, how much you are suffering? Hey, no suffering. There is pain, but there is no suffering. If I am not the body, how can I suffer? I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am the Atma. And this is the progression that we will see in Swami's life too.
Everything failed, as we said. The scholar failed, the doctors failed, the exorcists failed. So the parents of little Satyam decided that he should be taken back to Puttaparthi and try some remedy there. Somebody suggests that he should be taken to not any ordinary exorcist, not to any ordinary Swamiji, but taken to one dreaded Mupur Appaya Swami. Now this Mupur Appaya Swami, he is the person who lived in Brahmanapalli near Kadri. And Brahmanapalli near Kadri, as you see in this map, those days the blue line is the road map to this particular Brahmanapalli, which is close to Kadri. It is a good 74 kilometers away. And the very fact that his fame had traveled all through and was known in places like Bukkapatnam and Puttaparthi shows that he was a man of some substance. And many years later, when his son was spoken to, his name was Nanjappa, he was describing that, there was a court hearing for which his father had to appear. And the court was a good 6 hours away by any kind of road transport. Mupur Appaya Swami left Kadri, Brahmanapalli, and was there at the court in a span of 2 hours. So it was known that he had all these abilities to disappear and appear anywhere. He had cured innumerable number of patients, but this was going to be his toughest task and the youngest patient he would handle.
He had a record of having completely healed 6 people who had been possessed by ghosts and demons till then. So imagine his fame had traveled all that distance. And that is why in a cart via Bukkapatnam, Mudigubba, Kadri and then Kadri Brahmanapalli. This was the route that they followed. So 74 kilometers at an average of 5 kilometers per hour in a bullock cart. You can imagine at least about 12 to 13 hours of journey. So you start early in the morning, you reach only late in the evening. Who all accompanied Swami was Swami's parents, Swami's elder sister Venkamma, and there were 2-3 other relatives. A total of 6 of them had gone there. When little Satyam was submitted, he first tonsured the boy, took out all the hair, and after that tied his hands to a pillar behind so that he doesn't obstruct, and then made, as Swami said, 3 brutal cross marks on his head. And then nearby in the village Viranjanaya Garipalli, there is a perennial water well called Bhogga. This is that Bhogga well, which will be freezing cold. Water will be there every time there early in the morning, because it was the next day that the treatment began. He was taken there and 108 pots of cold water was poured onto that tonsured and cut head. After which he was taken back to this Mupur Appaya Swami, who made a paste of pepper, garlic and lemon juice and applied it on Satyam's head, and then dug a pit in which was filled cow dung, buffalo dung, neem and many other herbs. Neck deep, Swami was made to stand for 1.5 hours. Swami just stood, after which he was taken out and 20 blankets put on him. Then with a thin hot iron rod, he was branded on the leg, on the hand, behind the neck. And still, this is the time they expect, unable to bear the pain that the body is undergoing, the ghost that is possessing the body will just leave and go. But here was Satyam, without batting an eyelid, without making even a whimper of protest. He was showing, I am not the body. And therefore, as recorded in the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, he took out his most potent weapon called the Kalikam paste. made with many ingredients, a very pungent kind of paste, which he applied directly to the eyes of this little boy.
When this kalikam paste was applied to Swami's eye, not only his eyes, his face swelled. He could not be recognizable. The opening of the eye became a small orifice. And the mother and sister could not bear this. And they broke down, they started sobbing. And imagine, Swami has gone through all this, and so beautifully depicted in all those pictures which you showed, that he was so calm, he was so composed. Not once did he actually say that don't do this to me or anything of that sort. He was very calm, and in fact, only after this kalikam paste was applied, Swami started shivering, the body started reacting. And he did not try to stop this or cure himself, even when he was put through all this. But when he saw his mother and sister break down, he called them to himself, and he suggested a remedy. He said, you bring these particular leaves and you make this paste and apply it. It will bring down the swelling. And that's what they did. As Arvind was saying, when Swami would say that you all are God, I am God, but you all are God too. Invariably, whenever Swami would say that you all are God, the first image which probably would come in our mind is, but I cannot wave my hand and materialize objects. But I cannot read the minds of people who sit before me. I cannot discover the past and future like Swami can. Because in our minds, we always associate such powers only with divinity. But Swami wanted to come and teach us that there are some other qualities of divinity which each of us have in us and can foster. And one of that was Kshama, forbearance. And Swami was actually, through this horrific episode, proving that when I say that you are also divine, when I say that you are also God, these are the qualities you have to relate to, and these are verily inside each one of you. You have to identify them and foster them. Are you ready to do that? And another point which I would like to make here is, when we listen to these stories, doesn't our heart get wrenched? Don't we feel so pained? And at this moment, let us all thank these two souls, especially Venkama Garu, because she played the role which each one of us would have wanted to play. Because she was the one who sat beside Swami through this entire episode and consoling her. Because the mother could not bear it. The mother went away. It was Venkama who sat there, who sat beside Swami. She said, this boy seems to be wilting under your treatment. Maybe we need to take him back, energize him and bring him back to his normalcy so that you can continue your treatment. And what does she do? She gives away her gold earrings. She says, take this as a bribe. She gives it to that man, and they sneak Satyam away from there. And that is how Swami is saved from further treatment. This is the Kadri Narasimha Swami temple. Even as they were going back from Brahmanapalli and Kadri, they, as another option, they go into the temple, and the mother pleads to the Lord, and understand the plight that the mother and father would have gone through. If they were ready to put their child under a treatment like this, how desperate they were, how very pained they were at what they saw, because they felt that their son was abnormal. They were pained by the fact that here is a child who was so talented, who was so brilliant, but today something is wrong with him. What can we do? Because they were not people with immense means. They were very, very ordinary people. And I'm sure these things would have cost them quite a bit, isn't it? But they said, what can we do? We want our Satyam back. We want our Satyam back. It is out of that pure love. It might have been tainted with attachment, but it is out of love, it is out of concern that they did this to Swami. And it is, our heart goes out in sympathy to that mother and father who had to go through this.
Once they returned to Puttaparthi, they saw that Satyam had become very, very violent. He would start getting kinds of fits and seizures, but he would be angry, very moody, and it became very, very difficult to control him. Though he is a tiny lad, he seemed to be possessing great powers physically, and they did not know what to do. And that is why most of the time they would just lock him in one chamber, hoping that whatever is possessing him, whatever is troubling him, will just let go of him. And that was how little Swami was trapped in a room, locked. That is when one of Ishwaramma's brothers, Swami's uncle Chandramouli, they observed that whenever Satyam is brought medicines, he gets very violent. And so Chandramouli tried, but there was no use, because the minute the herbal medicine was brought, again Satyam would get very violent, protest, flay his hands and legs. In fact, Uncle Chandramouli was so insistent on trying to feed him the medicine, he had two people hold his hands and try to open his mouth to stuff in the medicine. And Satyam gave a kick, and Uncle Chandramouli lost his front two teeth. In fact, in 1971, Swami called his Uncle Chandramouli and offered to him, I will get 2 golden teeth fitted for you. He said, no, Swami, let it be like this. He politely declined. He preferred to have that gaping hole in his teeth set. The parents decided, let us take him to this Chidghanananda Maharaj. Who knows, maybe he will do something. This is that Chidghanananda Maharaj. When Satyam got to know, he said, I am not interested. I am not going to come there. They were not ready to listen. 5 of them came, just lifted this boy, took him into the bullock cart, and Uncle Chandramouli was the driver. He was holding the 2 bullocks, and they set out Puttaparthi to Kottachervu. Again, you have to cross the same Bukkapatnam lake. And as they are going along, suddenly Uncle Chandramouli sees that the 2 bullocks just stop. And then he sees the mountains are growing in size, and they are all about to collapse on him. He starts screaming, and people think that the madness has passed from Satyam to this fellow. And then Satyam says, the bullocks will not proceed in that direction. They will only proceed towards Puttaparthi. They turn the bullock carts, the bullocks march merrily. And that is how, without actually meeting Chidghanananda Maharaj, Swami is brought back to Puttaparthi, and Swami is put back in the home. In fact, much later, Chidghanananda Maharaj himself came to Puttaparthi to visit Swami, and he proclaimed that this is no ordinary soul. This is a Daivamsha, an embodiment of divinity.
That is the beauty. The same very Swami who permitted that Kadri episode to happen to him just chose that this was enough. He did not want Chidghanananda Maharaj to have his work on him. Because it was for Swami, if he had decided that he did not want to go to that Kadri occult, he could have as well avoided it. The efforts to bring back this little Satyam to normalcy was still on. We spoke of one Krishnamachari, a very learned scholar who did the Aksharabhyasam for Swami. He was an advocate. By then he had moved on. He was living in Penukonda. Now the news reaches him. Somebody whom he had done Aksharabhyasam for, suddenly something has gone wrong with him. Something is wrong with this boy. So a kind of responsibility, and he started inquiring. So he looks at this little Satyam and he says, this is not an ordinary case. He's been possessed by a very scary soul. No ordinary occult practitioner will be able to help. He needs the help of Narsim Swami himself. The Lord who came as the lion-faced one. And no ordinary shrine of Narasimha Swami, you will have to take him to Gatikachalam. Gatikachalam is a temple in Tamil Nadu. The deity is Narasimha Swami, Lakshmi Narasimhan. And the father, in all humility, he starts taking down the directions. All right, if that is the temple which will give us redemption, let's take our child there. So he starts taking down, where is this place, how do we go? Swami asks, who is there in that temple in Gatikachalam? You fools, are you trying to take me to me? And that is when Krishnamachari says that, there is nothing that can be done for this boy. God save him. And he moves away, and that was his attempt.
Now, the father, Pedda Venkama Raju, had great regard for P.T. Krishnamachari. P.T. Krishnamachari, as we said, had done Swami's Aksharabhyasam. He was a revered scholar who had grown in stature so much that he no longer stayed in Puttaparthi. He was now in Penukonda. And here, my son has insulted such a great scholar. Swami's father was very, very, very angry. On top of that, this Satyam started one new thing. Waving his palm like this and creating so many things. And that infuriated the father even more. One day, he saw on the road, Satyam and one group had gathered around him because Satyam was doing all these apparent magical things. Everyone is amazed and they are gathering, and the father is not able to bear it anymore. He just went, picked up a stick, rushed to him and, hey, who are you? Are you God? Are you Narsimha? Are you Narayana? Or are you madcap? Are you a demon? Who are you? Little Satyam said, I am Sai Baba. Sai Baba, Hi Baba, I don't care. Whoever you are, get out. Leave my son alone. Because the father thought that that ghost is speaking through this boy. A smile comes over Satyam's face and he says, no father, I am Sai Baba. Now the father is shocked. He says, yes, I have come because your Venkavaduta asked me. He has prayed for this for so long. And therefore, Bharadvaja Gotram, Apasamba Sutram, in that I have come, I am Sai Baba. Tak! That stick fell off from his hand. He was shocked. So what do you want me to do? Clean your houses and worship me every Thursday. I will bless you, I will take care of you. That was the 23rd of May.
So finally the family gets a clue. At least they know who is there. Till now they didn't know what it was. Was it a demon? Was it a ghost? Was it a saint? But at least now a clue. Okay, some Sai Baba. So now they start looking around. Who is this Sai Baba? Trying to gather information. That's when the adopted son of the Karnam, we spoke about the Karnam Subhamma, the adopted son of the Karnam, he comes with a piece of information that there is one person, he is Keshavaya, sub-registrar of the Penukonda town. He seems to be a person who has some knowledge about the Sai Baba, because Keshavaya was a very elderly person and it is believed that he has travelled to Shirdi, he has seen Baba when Baba was alive, and he is a devotee of Shirdi Baba, and he is also known for giving Baba's Udi, and he had kind of created a reputation for himself. This was the house in Penukonda. A lot of people who had small problems would go to him and he would dispense Udi, saying that Sai Baba will take care of you and their problems would be solved. So he had become a person of a considerable following. So his name and fame too had spread. So that's how Swami is taken there. And this man, with right earnest, looks at him and he says, this is not Shirdi Baba, this is not Sai Baba anything. This boy is mad, something is wrong with him. So as his usual practice, he takes some Udi and gives it to Swami and says, you take this Babu, you will be fine. And what does Swami do? He takes that vibhuti and throws it at his face. He says, you fool, you've been worshipping me all this while and I'm here and you don't recognize me. How foolish of you. So finally this Keshavaya says that, this seems to be a little more complicated than all of you think. Procure a picture or an idol of Shirdi Baba. You worship that idol, this boy will be better. And needless to say, the parents go back. Now the hunt for Sai Baba's form starts. Finally they're able to procure a small idol of Shirdi Baba. They keep it in the home and start worshipping. And this is the play of Swami. The worship of Shirdi Baba starts, Swami starts becoming normal and calm. So they say, finally, okay, this was the problem. So this is working. So that went on for some days.
In the meanwhile, some people, as Prem said, this Keshavaya, the sub-registrar at Penukonda, he has his own Bhakta following, Bhakta Brinda there. Because he is acting like one mini Shirdi Baba there, basically. In the sense, whoever comes, he says, take this Udi, you'll be fine. And they get fine and they feel, oh, yo, Keshavaya, great. He also enjoys that. He does some Narayan Seva. He does some poor feeding. Basically, he's taken on the glory of Shirdi Baba and he's doing it. So, he has his own loyal following there. And one person from that following is infuriated that some chit of a boy from some village comes and insults our Keshavaya Garu. So, one such person travels all the way from Penukonda in search for Satyam and comes. And he arrives at the house and he asks, where is that boy? He says he's Sai Baba. So the parents, Ishwaramma is there, mother. She says, no, nothing. See, he was in this thing. No, so just leave it, you go off. I am Sai Baba. From inside the voice comes, Arey, be quiet, yaar. Mother feels, Arey, you keep quiet for some time. So that man is now, he says, just because you tell you're Sai Baba, you think you become Sai Baba. What is the proof, huh? What is the proof that you're Sai Baba? You want proof? I will give you proof. And then Swami says, get me some flowers. So this man doesn't know where to get flowers from Puttaparthi. He looks towards Ishwaramma. Ishwaramma Garu goes and gets some jasmine flowers. And Swami picks those flowers and just throws them. And there they form in beautiful Telugu letters, Nenu Sai Baba. I am Sai Baba. And this is something amazing for that person as well as the mother to see. And yes, different artists have imagined this scene in different ways. Later on, Keshavaya himself visits Puttaparthi And at that time, he makes a prophetic statement. He says, this boy, one day, maybe sometime later, but one day he is going to become more famous than me.